Hello students, we are discussing chapter 8, Getting to Know Plants. In this chapter, there are two systems which we have to discuss regarding the plants. The one system which is present under the ground, that is known as a root system. Roots helps the plants to absorb the nutrients, absorb the minerals and water from the soil. Roots also fix the plant at a particular position. They makes the plant stationary. Some roots also fixes atmospheric nitrogen. They convert the nitrogen present in the atmosphere into the soluble form, that is nitrates. And by that nitrogen or nitrates, plants can convert, certain substances into amino acids. And amino acids will make proteins. So for proteins they require nitrogen, and for nitrogen, for fixation of nitrogen they require a bacteria. That is known as rhizobium bacteria. Rhizobium bacteria lies in the roots of certain plants known as leguminous plants. Mostly the pulses are included in the leguminous plants. That we have already discussed in our previous videos. In this video, we will discuss the further topic of the chapter, that is the shoot system. The system, the parts of the plant that are present above the ground, they are coming out of the ground, that part is known as shoot system. Shoot system will grow against gravity. As the gravity is towards the center of the earth and the shoots are growing against it. So the shoots grow against gravity, towards sunlight. Whereas roots grows towards gravity. Roots gravity की तरफ जाते हैं और shoot gravity से opposite. So that's what the shoot system is. Shoot system has 4 parts. First, stems, the major strong part which helps the plant to stand upright. जो plant को सीधा खड़ा रहने में help करता है. The strong part. The next one is leaves, which helps the plant in photosynthesis. जो plants को food form करने में help करते हैं. Third, flowers, which helps in reproduction, and fruits, which is a product forms after fertilization, after reproduction of seed. So these are the 4 parts which are going to study one by one in our further videos in the shoot system. So first we will discuss stem. As I discussed, stem is a part of the plant that help it to stand upright. एक ऐसा पार्ट है जो प्लांट को हेल्प करता है to stand upright, to stand tall, erect. That is a stem. Shoot. Stem of a tree is known as trunk. Why? Why we give it a specific name? Because stem of trees is very thick, bachcho. It is not very soft. It is very thick. So this is stem of a tree is referred as a trunk. It's a specific term for stem of a tree. From trunk we get the timber. From trunk we get the wood for furniture purposes. To make the various sports equipments like hockey sticks, cricket bats, those are taken from the trunk. Next is, you must have observed a trunk, bache. There is a brown covering over it. Like mango tree, neem tree, banyan tree, they have a brownish covering over it. That brownish covering is known as bark. Stem of a tree, the trunk is covered by a thick covering, and that is known as bark. Actually, bark is a dead tissue. Just like hair and nails in case of humans, bark is the dead tissue of a plant. What purpose that bark serves? It's a very important question, 1 mark question. What is the function of bark? Bark protects the plant, protects the stem, cells of the stem, tissues of the stem from the environmental conditions, from the temperature changes, isn't it? The plant undergoes temperature changes, but it never, wear a cloth or, remove its cloth. एक plant बच्चे सर्दी आती है कपड़े नहीं ओढ़ता, गर्मी आती है तो अपने कपड़े उतारता नहीं है बच्चे. Plant remain as it is. In those environmental changes, the plant can survive due to presence of bark, as well as rain, water. It does not spoil the plant. Why? It has a protective covering over it that is known as bark. And the plants which do not have bark, they have a special covering known as epidermis. That is not present in your book as well as in your syllabus, but that term you will study in your higher classes. Epidermis. Epi means upon, and derma means skin. मतलब skin के ऊपर, plant की skin के ऊपर बच्चे, ऊपर की skin. The shoots, the green shoots have epidermis over it, and epidermis does not allow the plants to get spoiled in water. Plants will remain open in rain, beta, but they do not get spoiled. वो गलते नहीं हैं. Why? Because they have protective coverage. Trees have bark, and the shoots which are from trees, the herbs and shrubs have epidermis, which protects the trees from the rain, from the humidity, from the temperature conditions, as well as the last point is it protects the plant from pathogens. Now the question arises, what are pathogens? Disease causing microorganisms are known as pathogens. The microorganisms which cause a disease are known as pathogens. Bark and epidermis does not allow the entry of a pathogen. ये पैथोजन की एंट्री नहीं होने देते इसमें एक प्लांट में, और इस तरह से एक प्लांट को बीमारी नहीं होती. The first part present on that stem, that is bud. The small outgrowths present over the stem is known as a bud. छोटी छोटी आउटग्रोथ्स होती हैं बच्चे, छोटे छोटे उभार होते हैं एक स्टेम पर. That will give rise to new parts of the plant. That small outgrowth is known as a bud. उस small outgrowth को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Bud बोलते हैं. On the basis of position, किस स्थान पर है वो bud, किस जगह पर originate होगी, the buds are of two types. On the basis of position, the buds are of two types. The first one is apical bud. Apical means tip, बिल्कुल tip. The buds which are present at the top of a plant is known as apical bud. एक बच्चे बड जो शूट के बिल्कुल टॉप पर होगी, like this. This is apical bud. Tip of the shoot पर है. That kind of bud is known as apical bud. This bud helps in the upward growth. This bud helps in the elongation of plant. एक छोटे से प्लांट को बच्चा देखते हैं वो धीरे धीरे बड़ा हो रहा है. How? The apical bud helps in the growth, and that is the reason why some plants we cut that apical bud from the half. Sometimes that bud is covered with the tissue, with the cells, and then that bud's growth stops. In case of rose plant, in case of jasmine plant, चमेली का एक फूल होता है बेटा, उसका एक प्लांट रोज, क्या करते हैं बच्चे, उसकी गार्डनर सीजन के टाइम पर उसकी बड्स काट देते हैं हल्की हल्की. बड कटने से टिश्यू एक्सपोज हो जाता है, सेल्स एक्सपोज हो जाती हैं, देयर ग्रोथ इंक्रीजेस. सो फॉर द to increase the growth, we used to cut the bud. So that is apical bud, the bud which is present at the top of a shoot, at the tip, that is known as apical bud. What is their function? They helps in the elongation of the plant. They help the plant to grow longitudinally, lengthwise. Next, axillary bud. Axillary means the bud which are present, which are found between the two parts, between the two leaf stalks. What are leaf stalks? Let us suppose this is stem. This has branches, and this stalk-like structure, this large rod-like structure by which that leaf is attached is known as leaf stalk. जिस पार्ट पर बच्चे लीफ अटैच होता है अपनी ब्रांच को, अपनी ट्विग को, दैट इज नोन एज लीफ स्टॉक. उसे क्या बोलते हैं? लीफ स्टॉक बोलते हैं बच्चे. सो दैट इज लीफ स्टॉक. दिस वन, दिस स्टिक लाइक स्ट्रक्चर. The buds which is present between the two leaf stalks, those buds are known as axillary buds. ऐसी बड बचे जो दो लीफ स्टॉक्स के बीच में प्रेजेंट होगी, जो इन बिटवीन द स्टेम होगी, नॉट एट द टिप. These are known as axillary buds. What is their function? It helps in the branching of a stem. It helps in the widening of a scrum tree. आपने देखा होगा बच्चे, tree it is narrower from the bottom and then it spreads at the top. That's what a tree is. So this branching is maintained by the help of axillary bud. Axillary bud will give rise to many branches, and by that the plant would like a crown like structure at the top. So there is axillary buds function. It will give to many branches, many new branches of a tree. Now, there are two reasons present over this. The first is nodes. What are nodes? The part of a stem from where a leaf arises, that is known as a node. वो पार्ट कोई छोटा सा एक उभार, एक आउटग्रोथ होता है like bud which will give rise to a new leaf. So part from where leaf arises, वो पार्ट जहां से एक लीफ उगेगा, एक लीफ पैदा होगा, निकलेगा, दैट इज नोन एज अ नोड. दिस इज अ नोड, दिस इज अ नोड. इन बिटवीन दीज नोड्स देयर इज अ रीजन. इन दोनों नोड्स के बीच में एक रीजन है, दैट इज नोन एज इंटर नोड. इट्स नेम डिफाइंस इट. इंटर मींस बिटवीन. इंटर का मतलब क्या होता है बेटा? बिटवीन. इन योर स्कूल देयर इज अ इंटर हाउस स्कूल कंपटीशन, मींस स्कूल के हाउसेस के बीच में कंपटीशन होगा. देयर इज अ इंटर स्कूल कंपटीशन, स्कूल्स के बीच में कंपटीशन होगा. लाइकवाइज इंटर नोड्स मींस nodes in between. The region present between the two consecutive nodes, एक के बाद जो अगली नोड आएगी उनके बीच का जो रीजन है, that is known as an internode. So these are the parts present over the stem. I'll show you the parts of the stem which we had discussed. This is a rose plant, beta. This is a rose plant. It has a main stem. This is the main stem. From this main stem there are multiple buds present. Look at this structure, beta. This swelling as well as this one. These are the buds from where the various branches are keep on originating, like this one. This bud will also give rise to a new branch. That bud is known as axillary bud. इसे axillary bud बोलते हैं बच्चे. That is referred as an axillary bud. And look at this structure. This is present at the tip. This kind of bud is known as apical bud. It's the dried bud. It will not give rise to a flower, but it will be if it is a living one, like this one. This bud will give rise to a flower, bache. That is a bud. It will be grows into the particular flower in season. So that's the part of a stem which will give rise to further branches and the young flowers, bache. So that is the bud, beta. Next is leaf stalk. Look at these leaves. These leaves has this structure, this thread-like structure, bache, by which they are attached to the plant. I'll pluck one leaf for you to represent. This is a leaf, bache, and this small thread-like structure is known as a stalk. So it's a rose leaf. It has venation in it. Look at the venation, and that is the stalk, bache. This structure is known as stalk. By this stalk it will be attached to the plant like this. इस stalk से attach था बेटा, मैंने इसको यहाँ से pluck कर लिया. So that is the leaf stalk. So these are the part of stem or the shoot system. Next we will discuss the functions of stem. As we have discussed already, beta, the primary function of a stem is to provide support. सहारा देता है बच्चे. Stem provides support to the branches to the leaves, to the fruits, to the flowers which is present over it. As I showed you in my previous video as well, in the the previous part of this, that stem possess all these parts. Various branches, leaves, fruits, flowers, they are all possessed by the stem. So stem provide the support to a plant, to the various parts of a plant. Also, stem ensures the position of leaves to get proper sunlight. Why they require sunlight? Because plant's leaf has a pigment named as chlorophyll, and chlorophyll traps solar energy to perform photosynthesis, that is formation of food. So stem ensures this thing as well, that the leaves will get enough sunlight to perform their basic process named as a photosynthesis. Photo means light and synthesis means to produce. Formation of food, that is organic molecule glucose, in the presence of carbon dioxide, water and sunlight is known as photosynthesis. During this photosynthesis, the leaves release oxygen gas, the life supporting gas which plants release. So the first function of stem is support. They help the plant to stand upright, to remain upright, as well as it provides support to the leaves, fruits, flowers and various branches. It ensures that leaves of the plants will remain in such condition, such position, that they can get enough sunlight for photosynthesis. The second is conduction. What do you mean by conduction? In your class you may write conduction as transportation as well. Transportation or conduction beta. Conduct means to take something from one place to another. Like roots conduct water from the soil and send it to the leaves. Likewise, stems has that region, that particular structures which help in the transport of water and minerals in the upward direction. बेटा रूट के बाद अब सारी रूट तो रह नहीं गई है ना. अगर मान लो ये एक प्लांट है, रूट्स तो यहाँ है, रूट्स ने वाटर एब्जॉर्ब किया, उसके बाद वाटर जाएगा तो स्टेम के थ्रू ही कहाँ? लीव्स में. यहाँ पर जो लीव्स प्रेजेंट है. सो स्टेम helps in the conduction of water and minerals from the roots to the leaves, as well as it helps in the conduction of food which is synthesized in leaves. Let us suppose this representation, red one is the leaves. The food is synthesized here, so it will send the food to each and every part, like roots, lower portion of the stem which cannot perform photosynthesis. The yellow stem does not have chlorophyll, so does not perform photosynthesis, so it requires food. The food which is synthesized in leaves is to be transported in the other parts. So shoot or stem is just like a byway road. दो रास्तों वाली सड़क है, एक तरफ से जा भी रहा है और दूसरी तरफ से आ भी रहा है. वाटर और मिनरल्स स्टेम से ऊपर जा रहे हैं लीव्स तक, और लीव्स में जो फूड प्रिपेयर हो रहा है वो नीचे आ रहा है रूट्स तक, स्टेम के दूसरे पार्ट्स तक. सो स्टेम हेल्प्स इन द कंडक्शन ऑफ टू थिंग्स. फर्स्ट, it helps, it has certain veins, it has certain structures which helps in the transportation of water and minerals to the leaves. Also, it helps in the transportation of food synthesized in the upper levels, that is leaves, to each and every part or to the lower parts. So it helps in the conduction of, two things. Next thing, we'll discuss activity bache. In this, we'll show that water rises through the stem. In this, we will, demonstrate, we will verify that stems helps in the conduction of water as well. For that, we require certain objects, certain things, like a glass tumbler, a dye named as eosin, a blade is required, a stem is required of a, plant, either balsam or rajnigandha, that is also known as tuberose. Why? It has white flowers. So in the method, what we have to do is, we have to take a plant and cut its stem. That plant must possess a flower, and that flower is of balsam, and balsam's flower is white in color. That stem we have cut out from the main plant. हमने उस stem को cut कर लिया main plant से. Place it in a beaker containing water, and that water has a dye, that is eosin. The color of eosin is red. So it is eosin solution. This one is stem of balsam. This is glass tumbler. After some time, after when the time passes on, we observe that the white flower which is present at the top will turn red. जो व्हाइट पेटल्स होगी फ्लावर की वो क्या हो जाएंगी बेटा? रेड. Now the question arises from where this red color comes बेटा? This red color comes from this dye, from this eosin solution. ये लाल रंग एकदम से कैसे हो गया? स्टेम का, इसका फ्लावर का, इस सॉल्यूशन की वजह से बच्चे, जिसमें हमने ये स्टेम डिप की है. कैसे? This stem absorbs this dye. As stems helps in the transportation of water and minerals, this dye will goes into the flower and makes it red. So that flower changes its color. We can check this as well. How? If we cut down this tree, this stem, not tree, this stem of a plant, and observe it laterally, we observe that it has various red patches in it. क्या करें बच्चे? मान लो ये स्टेम है, मैंने स्टेम को लिया और उसे कट कर दिया यूं, और मैं इसे यूं करके देख रहा हूं इस तरह से सामने से. Then I will observe, or we will observe red patches, red dots in it. ये red dots किसकी हैं? eosin solution की. और ये है क्या? ये एक पाइप है बच्चे जो इस स्टेम में प्रेजेंट थी, जिससे इसने वाटर और मिनरल्स को एब्जॉर्ब किया और ट्रांसपोर्ट कर रहा है कहां तक? अपर पार्ट तक, लीव्स तक. लीव्स रेड नहीं होंगे, लीव्स का कलर ग्रीन होता है, वो इतना ज्यादा एब्जॉर्ब नहीं करते कि ग्रीन हो जाए. बट फ्लावर के पेटल्स जो व्हाइट थे क्या हो गए? रेड. दैट विल प्रूव दैट स्टेम्स एब्जॉर्ब वाटर. स्टेम ने एब्जॉर्ब किया तभी तो रेड हुआ ना ये. और साथ साथ व्हेन वी कट इट एंड ऑब्जर्व, वी सीन द रेड डॉट्स इन द पर्टिकुलर वेसल्स, इन अ पर्टिकुलर स्पेसेस. पर्टिकुलर इस तरह के स्पेस थे, उसमें क्या दिखने लगे? रेड डॉट दिखने लगे बच्चे. सो दैट एक्टिविटी विल प्रूव दैट वाटर राइजेस to the leaves through stem.